Hello everybody, it's time for another episode of Hadley's History. Today we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to start right off with the artifact of the day. Back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, I worked as a field director of archaeology, doing cultural resource management work all over the United States. My specialty, though, was historic archaeology. That's the study of material culture since European contact to this continent. Today's artifact of the day actually comes from my own personal collection. This is a clay pipe that I gave you guys a preview of a couple of episodes ago that we were going to talk about today. So, what makes this clay pipe really cool? I found this clay pipe back in 1991 just outside of Colonial Williamsburg in a trash pile created by some road work that was going on. And so I was able to pick it up. It was not associated with any historic site or provenance, so there was no issue with that. And I've had it ever since. So the key question is, how old is it? How do we tell the age of such an artifact? Well, that's really interesting when it comes to clay pipes. Let me tell you a little more. There are actually two really cool ways you can actually date a clay pipe such as this. One is from the angle and shape of the bowl, as well as the diameter of the opening, and also the diameter of the opening of the pipe stem. Between those two things, we can get a pretty accurate date range for this particular clay pipe. Now, how you do the hole right here, you actually use different sized drill bits and find the one that fits inside, and those drill bits will actually determine the size of the diameter of the opening and give us an approximate date range. Same with the angle of the pipe bowl and the diameter of the pipe bowl, which will also, and the style, will give us an approximate date range. So based on the diameter of the pipe stem, as well as the shape, angle, and diameter of the bowl, we know now that this particular clay pipe dates from the age of 1700 to about 1720, which is pretty old and very cool. Makes you want to know, who was the last person to smoke this pipe? Why did they discard it? Did they lose it accidentally? It's still perfectly good to use. So all these are the questions that an archaeologist likes to ask themselves. And we also get very excited about the fact that we're the first person to have touched a particular item since it was last touched or used a century, 2 centuries, 3 centuries ago. So, a lot of questions. Who was the person that was smoking this pipe? And were they anybody famous or just some regular schmo who was walking down the dirt road and accidentally dropped it? We may never know that, obviously. But it's still cool that we have the remnants of a material culture of somebody who lived in the past. And now it's time for the recommended book of the day. Our recommended book of the day is The American Heritage History of the American Revolution. This is a fun, cool read, and it's got lots of images and pictures and graphs, and really is kind of a nice condensed version of the American Revolutionary War. As you can see, it's got lots of colorful images, plates, all from the time period, paintings. It gives you a nice, really good rundown of the American Revolution. And it's a fun, easy read, and it's a lot of interesting facts and information that you can take back with you. History according to Hollywood. Our recommended film of the day is the HBO miniseries John Adams. This is a great telling of John Adams' life, starting just before the Boston Massacre and taking it all the way through to the end. You get a great sense of what his role was during the American Revolution and just before in the Continental Congress. I highly recommend it. You can order it from Amazon, have it delivered directly to you, or you can get it streaming as well. Either way, it's a fantastic movie, and I think you would enjoy it a great deal, especially if you're into the American Revolution time period. Well, that's all the time we've got for today. But next week, we might have some guest stars showing up and doing some really cool things. That's all I'm going to say for now. But stay tuned and keep an eye out for next week's episode of Hadley's History.